And that's what, you know, we need in our community, that representation. Because like we said, a lot of people, when they take one look at us, the first thing they equate to is monsters or something negative. So
Yeah.
we're changing that narrative.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Courageously Kind, a show in which we talk about the complexities of kindness.
We're your hosts, Maddie and Liz, and we want to change the world through meaningful conversations.
We hope that these conversations spark conversations of your own to create change in ourselves, our community, and our world.
Thank you for joining us. Let's get started.
This week we had the absolute honor of chatting with someone who we are very proud to call our friend. LaDarius from The Healing Heart is an advocate and activist for face equality and positive and accurate representation. He's such a sweet and kind soul, and he has such an important message to share. We can't wait for you to hear this conversation.
If you want to start just by introducing yourself and talking a little bit about what the Healing Heart is and the work that you do.
Okay, so my name is LaDarius. The Healing Heart is something that I started in 2017. And it started a few years after my brother passed away. My oldest brother, he died from heart failure. And I also have heart problems. And so the name The Healing Heart just randomly stuck out to me one day.
Yeah.
And, I was like, okay, this is what I have to do. And it started out as a blog. And The Healing Heart started out as me just journaling how to live with heart disease or heart issues. For a long time, I never thought that I would be using my voice to speak out about craniofacial disability or anything like that because of the world that we live in. And I always said, I don't want to put myself out there because of the world that we live in. It's a cruel world. So I stuck to writing about, just heart things. And I was like, the Healing Heart is so much bigger than that. And because I always said I wanted to use my voice to basically be the person I need when I was a kid. So it's like, okay, you have to stop being afraid to use your voice. And the Healing Heart, basically, it started from there. Just started with a few videos, started telling my story, talking about some of the things that I went through, the bullying and all of that. And basically, it just means for me, through all the things that all the things that I've been through, I know the disappointments of just life in general, health, and everything like that. But through it all, I never let those things change my heart. I never let those things change me wanting to be kind to the world, or I never wanted to walk around being that person acting as if the world owed me something.
That's amazing. Liz has sort of a similar story. I mean, I think when we first started Courageously Kind, we were kind of, toying with the idea, do we want to talk about facial differences? Do we want to go there? And it was, I didn't want to push Liz into doing something she wasn't comfortable with, but I'm really glad that you started and kind of embraced that.
Well, thanks. And I wouldn't encourage to talk about our condition if it wasn't for people like you that are doing the same thing. I think we had a lady come on one time. She talked about courage buddies. And it's a lot easier to be courageous with somebody else than being courageous too. So thank you for doing what you do and talking about our lives and our struggles, because it helps.
Yeah, and I learned a lot from you all as well. I'm older, and I've always said that you're never too old to learn anything.
Yeah.
So some of the things that you all post and everything, you guys have me digging, and I'm like, oh man, I didn't know this. Like, this was stuff, like when I tell you I grew up, I never met anyone like me until I was grown.
Yeah.
It was maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, and I was in a group and I met a lady named Rashira. You all may know her. She does a lot of work with the CCA. And me and her connected. And that's how, when I tell you, it opened up my whole world, because for a long time I felt alone.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was the only person that I knew that looked like me or was, had a similar facial difference. I was the only person that I knew. So just, I've only been knowing or learning about this stuff for maybe about 4 years. And it's just like every day I'm learning something new, which is why I tell people, like, I don't know everything. I can answer your questions to the best of my ability, and if I don't know the answer, I can direct you to someone who can answer it for you.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. I want to talk a little bit about social media. We found you on TikTok. We have been really lucky that our social media experience has been somewhat mostly positive, I would say. But how do you navigate social media? How do you navigate trying to stay positive? And social media, I think, gets a bad rep for being a very negative place. So I just was curious about your thoughts on like sharing your story on social media and how you navigate that.
So one of the ways that I navigate through that, like I said, for a long time, I didn't want to do it. I was just like, I don't know if I'm mentally strong enough to handle it. I know what I went through in person. And then, you're talking about putting yourself out there to millions of people. You just never know what you're opening yourself up to. But how I had to get over that is when I started seeing things like that, I realized that there was a lack of self-love that I had for myself. I was always, anybody you ask, they will always tell you that I'm kind and this, that, and the third. But the kindness that I extended to others, I wouldn't give it to myself. So one of the ways that I had to learn to navigate that and try to stay positive is to really, it started with learning to love and embracing who I was, trying to get out of the norms of society where society said you have to look a certain way to be beautiful. So I had to literally tell myself I was beautiful. Like, there's nothing wrong with me. I always like to make a reference from the movie Wonder, when it was like, I can't remember exactly what he said. It was like, basically about surgery can't make you look this good or something like that. That's like my favorite line in the movie. So that's something that I reference to. And I just try to remember that people are going to be people. I try not to focus on the negative comments. And like I was saying on a live the other night, at the end of the day, I am human. Sometimes, most of the time, I can filter it out. But then it is sometimes those comments that I see and I look at, and it takes me back to that child that was getting bullied. So it takes me back to that place. But I when that does happen, I give myself time to process the feelings and, go through it. I don't try to act like it's not there because, putting a Band-Aid on it is not going to help the situation.
Exactly.
I give myself time to get through it, and then I tell myself I'm not that child anymore. I know better because I know that I am worthy. I know that I am capable of doing any and everything that I set my mind to. And it's just that I just learned that you just have to take the good and bad with social media. And I can say personally, my experience has been more good than negative. I've had a few jerks,
right?
but that the few jerks that I have had does not outweigh the love that I have received. And that's one way that I try to navigate that. I just remember, if I just focus on all the love, then those 2 or 3, 4 or 5 negative comments, they don't matter.
I love it.
You have such a great outlook and such a great perspective, and I love it. And I just want to put it in a bottle and keep it. So social media, the great things about our phones is that we can turn them off. How do you deal with maybe things that you can't turn off, like staring? Have you dealt with, people coming up to you and saying negative or rude things, and how do you deal with that when it's kind of right there?
Ooh, that's a good question. Honestly, and I'm gonna be as transparent because I tell people I don't want people to look at me and look at what I say in the positive things and think, oh, this guy's perfect. He just, nothing bothers him.
Right.
But it honestly depends on the day. For example, I can give you an example. My wife and I, we were out and we were at this we were getting something to eat at a restaurant. I'm not going to name the restaurant. But we were sitting there, we were just waiting on our food. And the manager, and we didn't know this was the manager at the time, he was kind of rallying up like the rest of the coworkers to come and point at me. And, they were visibly laughing at me,
Oh my God.
and, in that instance, these were adults.
Yeah.
These were all adults, So I'm just sitting there. It didn't bother me.
Yeah.
That, that didn't bother me. Of course, I'm like, wow, we're still doing this.
Right. Exactly.
But, for my wife, it made her furious.
Yeah.
Because, and she was like, why doesn't it bother you? And I'm like, because I've been dealing with it all of my life, but that's a problem in itself that I made it okay I allowed the behavior because like, oh, well, I've been dealing with it, people are not going to change.
Right.
But that's one example. Now, something that really did bother me, and it's crazy, both of these happened at the same restaurant, but in two different cities. This time it was a customer. There was a customer, just somebody in there like me. And I'm sitting down, I'm eating my food, it's breakfast time. So sometimes I just like to go and sit by myself, spend some time with myself.
Yeah.
And it was a mother and a child. The child wanted to sit over there close by to where I was sitting at, because I was sitting by the little area where people can go play or whatever. They were all for it. And when I tell you, when they were getting ready to sit down, his mom took one look at me, I mean, staring like this, took her child, and they went all the way across the other end of the restaurant.
Oh my God.
Now that right there, that was something that bothered me because, children, they're innocent, and and that could have been a teachable moment.
Exactly.
That could have been a teachable. It could have been a teachable moment, but she chose to, stare, and she's not obligated to do anything, of course.
Right.
But she chose to treat treat me as if, like I'm just a monster. That's how I felt. Like, people really still look like that, and that was something that broke me that day.
Yeah.
Just because I'm just like, wow, like what was the reason? You could have said hi. I say hi back.
Yeah.
Like I don't want your pity or anything. I'm just human. I'm trying to get something to eat just like you.
Exactly.
And it just depends. So sometimes I handle it in a way where, it doesn't bother me, just brush it off my shoulder. And other times it'll just, like I said earlier, it'll take me back to that place, bullied or left out, or it's just something. And I try to just, most of the time I try to brush it off, but sometimes it's just like like I have feelings too.
Right, exactly.
It's hard. It unfortunately sticks with you.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that you're a child and you. Yeah.
I just like grown adults that don't have the awareness of like you said, that could have been a teachable moment. That could have been a really beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And I think, it's just a reminder that we still have work to do.
We gotta keep going.
We gotta keep talking about these things. Yeah. And making people aware of these things.
We do. And I was just telling someone that the other day, it's like we've come so far, but there's still, it's like the further we get, it's still so much work to do. And it's because since we're talking about social media, some of the things I hate, and I'll be the first to say it, like when you all post videos, I'm liking the video, I'm commenting on the video, and as I'm on the video, I'm going through the comments. And if I see anything rude, I'm reporting it. I'm reporting it immediately.
Thank you.
I literally do that, like, because, and it makes me mad sometimes when I get some of these reports back and they say, oh, no,
didn't violate the guidelines.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's literally right here in your face. Like, and it's like society has done this for so long. They rather us be silent or not use these platforms rather than hold people accountable. So that's why there's like no real action, because it's like you're making it okay for people to do these things with no consequence. And you just tell us, well, I've seen people say the ignorantness stains, and I'm sorry, I'm getting passionate about this.
No, it's all good.
I'm passionate about. I seen a TikTok where a disabled creator was just doing a video with something random, and people were commenting on the videos where like nasty stuff. Like, this person was not bothering anybody at all. They was just having fun. They was just being vulnerable enough to let people into their life. And the comments were just really rude, talking about this person's appearance and all of this stuff like that. And there was some comments in there where people were sticking up. But one comment that stuck out to me was like, well, they know what they signed up for when they got on social media. Who signs up for that?
Exactly. No one. Yeah, like
no one signs up for
every
that.
right.
Who signs up for that?
Yeah. Ugh.
It's so ridiculous.
It's just frustrating. Yeah.
It's so frustrating. Do you ever feel like kind of burnt out from it? Do you ever feel like, why am I doing this? Where do we go from here? Does that ever get to you?
No. I would say it's the opposite. I feel like I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
I always feel like, okay, you're doing this, but you could do more.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I'm burnt out. I get that guilty feeling that I'm not doing enough.
Well, you are definitely doing enough. You are doing incredible work.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for spreading such kindness. And before we let you go, we're trying to incorporate kindness stories into our podcast. So we were wondering, do you have any stories about maybe somebody was really kind to you, maybe you were kind to somebody else? Is there anything that comes to mind?
It was, matter of fact, let me get my phone now, because it was something that just happened not too long ago. I don't post a lot of my stuff on my Facebook, and it's just because I don't know. Facebook is I get a different feel than I do posting on my other social media sites.
Yeah,
and it's probably because I know majority of the people that are on my Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it. It just literally just popped into my head.
I totally agree. Facebook feels way different than like TikTok and Instagram. It's just a different atmosphere.
It is. And this lady who doesn't know me I've never met her before. And she's always shown kindness to me, like when I post things. But I always post like stuff about heart, like my heart and everything like that. So this one time I posted one of my TikTok videos to my Facebook story. And it was just so kind, like the way that she worded it. She said, "Celebrate those differences, my friend. There was never any faulty manufacturing. Some of us are just more unique than others." And when I tell you, that made my day, because a lot of people don't just take the time to be kind like that, or just just give a good word of encouragement like that. So for that to come from someone who doesn't even know me, they could have just kept scrolling, went on about their day, but they took that time to encourage me while I'm giving encouragement. So that was something that I thought was really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. It's almost like you're getting what you're giving. You know what I mean? Like you're putting out that positivity.
Right.
And it feels great when that positivity comes back. Yeah. That's awesome.
Right.
Is there anything you would like to leave our listeners with? Any message before we wrap up here that you would like our listeners to know?
Just like I said in the beginning, I think you all are doing a great work. I honestly, like I said, I'm older. And when I see you guys' stuff, I feel like that proud big brother, just looking down at everything that you all are doing. And when I tell you, it just touches my heart. Just the kindness that you all put out. And when I say just keep going, and this is for any and everybody who's listening, just keep going. Just know that you are worthy. Know that you are valued. Know that you are loved. Stop putting your worth in the hands of the people around you. Like, society does not determine your worth. You do. Yeah. You were born with a purpose. You were born on purpose. You are here for a reason. So you're not here just because the sky is blue and the grass is green. You're here for a purpose. And like I always say in my videos, kindness is free. Choose to be kind. And if you can't do that, being quiet is free too. So.
I love it. That's amazing. Being quiet's free. I need that on a t-shirt.
Right. Being quiet is free too. I'm telling you. Being quiet
is free too. Now, LaDarius, where can our listeners follow you and find you on social media?
Okay, I'm on Instagram at the Healing Heart One. That's TheHealingHeart1. I'm on TikTok at the Healing Heart. So just no one, that just the Healing Heart. And also on my site, www.thehealing-heart.com. And soon I plan to bring my podcast back as well.
Cool.
So you
wait.
heard it here first. You
Woo-hoo!
guys will be guests up. So you heard it here first. I'm just trying to get the logistics. I've done the podcast thing. I've started 3 times, and it's just like I get distracted and then I stop. So I'm planning now to stay consistent with it, because it's a task.
Yeah.
So
it is.
and I know you all know that better.
Right.
So that's why I really commend you all for the work that you're doing and sticking with it.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's where you all can find me.
Cool. Can't wait to listen to that podcast. I'm so excited. So excited.
Thank you so much.
Thank you we literally can't thank you enough.
Yeah,
I'm so excited. Like, I'm so full. Having conversations like this just like fills you up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's so wonderful.
It's so
It does. And
Yeah.
and it's these conversations are important for representation. You know, because we need it. It's not being talked about enough.
Right.
And hopefully we can start with, the more we talk about it, we can get others talking about it, get our communities talking about it, and we can see some, some change, some real change.
Can't wait. Future's bright.
It is.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure to talk with you.
Always.
You all too. Thank you.
Stay healthy. Stay safe.